Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I appreciate you being here. I want to be straight to the point. Today I'm talking about three things. Dramas. I'm sure everybody's going through some type of dramas in life. So dramas and healing, as well as trimming the fat. You know, I try to put them in a sequence so it's kind of logical when I'm explaining, so that I don't go off on a tangent, which is quite easy for me to do. So in terms of dramas, I'm talking about, the hurts, the heartbreak, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or whether it's a husband-wife situation, or an even more serious side of things where, somebody, a loved one dies. You're experiencing this kind of, not just hurt, but the dramas that go along with it. You start to know who really you can count on in terms of people, or that sense of isolation that you feel. And it crystallizes the direction as to where you're going with your life in terms of who is going to be around. So dramas, to me, are, well, obviously they're always going to happen. You can't run away from dramas. As long as life is around, as long as you're on planet Earth, dramas are going to be happening. Things will be happening to you. But the important thing for me, I believe, is the fact to identify what's okay. An example: some things you can't avoid, some things it's your fault because you made some bad decisions, but sometimes it just comes at you. So dramas as part of life, I think, are important how you deal with them, because I think we can be slightly immature in our approach to problems because we're hurt. Sometimes I know we're emotionally damaged, or we can't react, or we can't make decisions, and we're not mature yet, because part of being mature is being able to handle the dramas and the hurts. Because I always tell people, remember the worst thing that you thought was going to kill you maybe a year or 2 years ago? Well, you're still around. What did you do in that time period that kept you around? Or how did you survive? Or how are you still a normal, regular person who is using the cognitive thinking and it's fun again? So I always say, if you got something new, big, that traumatic that's happening, remember that you survived before. So the dramas, no matter how many they are, unless it kills you, the expression, you can always survive, and I say that because, one, I'm always going to reference myself. One, I've gone through some things myself, and I'm surrounded by people that have done well in life, because I think that they embraced all their burdens, all the dramas, they approached it. You can't run away from it. You can hide for a little while. You can stay home for a little while. You may not pick up the phone for a little while, but you gotta go at it. And when you go at it, you develop a muscle for those waves. It's like being in the ocean. When the more you swim in the ocean, the more you get stronger. That's just the way it is. So those dramas gonna happen anyway. And I know some of them are very serious. Like I say, if you get a loved one, you lose a loved one, you're still not. You're not the first person for this to happen to, and you won't be the first person, to be able to survive it. So just remember that. I don't want me to be insensitive, but remember that no matter what it is, in terms of the dramas you're going through, there's always life. There's always life. You look at a bushfire. You see, the whole place is on fire. Come back a month later after a little bit of rain. There's life. In terms of dramas, I believe that a lot of people sometimes will mismanage and miss the opportunities of what that drama could bring. Personally, I find that when I got crisis mode, dramas happening everywhere, I write poetry, and I find that I write my best poetry when I'm hurting, when I'm down and out. So I use the opportunity to create something out of it. The other part is healing. You got to have some steps in your mind that are the healing steps. It's important because part of the healing sometimes in terms of dramas is really, the third point I was trying to get to, is cutting off the fat. So remove the people that you don't need to have in your life. That is part of the healing process. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's somebody like who is very close to, friend who's close to you, and it's just by default you hang with them. By default they call you. By default your lives are slightly intertwined. But part of the healing process, because you need the healing process to make sure the drama counts for your success. So therefore, when you go forward in life, you're healed and ready to go. Because the biggest thing about healing, and I'm going to reference it in a relationship sense, is a lot of people, they don't heal properly, and then they go into the next relationship or whatever it is, and they're so emotionally mature that any challenge, they start to blame circumstances, they start to blame individuals, other people around them. It's important that you heal. And part of the healing process, and I touched this in some other video, part of the healing process sometimes I find, apart from liaising with people and talking to people and talking to the right people, not just anybody, is you gotta just pull away and just be alone and say, hey, what am I all about? Who are my friends? What am I doing with my life? What do I want? What have I learned from this situation? So that's that meditative, quiet time, which allows you to reflect. And it's so important to reflect and heal, because that's why you find a lot of men and women do this. You find a lot of, one person is dating somebody and, for a year or two, and then something goes really bad and they quickly, the next, they're back on Facebook saying, relationship, new relationship, and you think, you're still wounded. You're still wounded. Those things, the dramas, the hurts, they still ate at you. We forget that sometimes we're not as strong as we think. We can be real. Human beings can be brilliant and strong, right? But we never really accommodate for the proper healing that should take place, because then we can actually be strong for the other person if we're in a relationship, strong within ourselves to be a worthy, whether it's business partner or worthy mate. It's important that the healing place takes place, properly. I'm not going to really dive into what forms of healing should take place, or where should you get this healing from, and how long does it take. That I can't really determine. This depends on your circumstances and the level of what you're going through. But the last part is this: remove the fat. There's nothing worse than getting a big piece of steak that you order and paid a lot of money for, and there's a lot of fat around it, and you're like, well, I didn't pay for the fat. Remove the fat, cut the fat. We as human beings we get emotionally invested in things that are not healthy for us. Just imagine junk food. That's why McDonald's does so well. People go to McDonald's even though everybody knows it's bad food. It's everybody goes there. So look at what is fat around you in terms of, maybe it's your business, or maybe some silly relationship you got going on that is somebody's influencing you to not be the best that you can be, or maybe some organizations you belong to. Trim the fat. Because until you pull away and get a clarity and remove the things that are distractive, your sense of achievement will always be minimal. And you're always going to blame somebody, because that's our nature. We're like, I could have been great, but it was not for my mother-in-law who was so bad to me, or I could have been great, but if it wasn't for that person, or if it wasn't, for my boss. You can't have that attitude. You got to trim the fat. It's up to you. Your life is your responsibility. You must trim the fat, and then you can move forward. So you become this machine. So drama happens to you just like everybody else, and then you heal. You've taken the time to just pull away and just heal, and now you're good. So you can't just easily be touched like you were before, at least until some other situation that's different to the last. But you can't be touched anymore. And the next part is the fact now you removed all the wrong people, and another thing is, if you don't have the right people, read. Find somebody who you like their style of writing, and get motivated and read and listen to audiobooks and things. That's very helpful. I read quite extensively and I love it. And it makes me sound, if I don't have those influential, positive people in me, well, they're in the books. In the books, they're there at least. So now you've become that. Believe me, you become very attractive as a person to yourself even. You see yourself that you're not just easily influenced. You're not emotionally fluctuating on the emotional radar. And then you, all of a sudden, new horizons, new opportunities, I don't want to rumble too much. My video is almost going over 10 minutes. I promised myself to keep it under 10 minutes. So if you got any ideas, words to share towards what I just said to you, or advice to me on the topic, I would like to hear it. I would like to get the conversation started, because to me, it's all about that discussion we can create. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.